Welcome back. On today's video, we're talking about money market accounts. Now, we've talked about high yield savings accounts in the past as an account or a way for you to be able to earn a little bit of additional interest on your money. A money market account is kind of cool in that it combines some of the greatest benefits of a savings account where you're able to earn higher interest and a checking account where you're able to access that money a little bit easier. Depending on your goals, that may or may not be important to you, but let's jump into those details. So from Investopedia, it talks about the money market account being exactly what we're talking about, combining the savings and checkings. It's available at many credit unions and banks. Here are some of the key takeaways. A money market account has some of the features of both savings and checkings. It pays a higher interest rate, and we'll go into some of those here in a little bit, and stay tuned till the end because there's a certain type of money market account that I found that is actually really cool in the way that it enhances and it entices you, actually incents you to save. So money market accounts may pay higher interest rates than a regular savings account. They usually make it easier for you to get your money out of that saving or that type of account than a standard savings. They're best for short-term financial goals. These are not something that you want to keep all of your retirement savings in because the interest rates are lower than what you can get from market opportunities. And they're similar to high yield savings account and CDs with some critical differences. So if we come down here to some of the pros and cons, pros are higher APYs, higher annual percentage yields, or interest rates than a savings account, than a standard savings account, check writing privileges, debit cards, and insurance protections. Now, if you do some Googling on what a money market account is, you will find articles that will tell you they are not FDIC or SEPC insured. However, you will find that they actually can be if you get them through your local bank or credit union. All right, I misspoke there. It's a CPUA insurance, the credit union insurance that is similar to the FDIC. Quick note, if you're not aware, credit unions are not covered by the FDIC. They are covered, however, by the NCUA, which is very similar. So the cons are rate fluctuations. Now, this is something that most people may not know. In a lot of the interest rates, savings accounts included, they do fluctuate. So when the Fed, if you hear the news about the Fed lowering rates, if the Fed lowers rates, the interest rates you get on your savings account and your money market accounts will fluctuate. They'll generally go down. If the Fed raises rates, you make more money. So if you look back at the last 20 years before the credit crisis, the great financial crisis, the interest rates you could get in a savings account were generally around 5%. And that's what a lot of retirees would utilize to make their retirement money. They'd put it in, they would have a fixed 5% rate. Anyway, we're getting way into the weeds. But your interest rates do fluctuate on both CDs, actually on all three, CDs, the savings accounts, and the money market accounts. The differences with the CDs are you're fixed in for a fixed amount of time. The savings account, especially high yield savings, and the money market accounts will fluctuate with the market rates. Transaction limits, the bank may limit you to 6 transactions out of that account. That's not necessarily a governmental guideline before. That went away with COVID. However, that is something that a lot of banks and other financial institutions have retained. Minimum balance requirements. A lot of banks will require that you have a minimum balance. And unfortunately, that's just part of the price to pay if you want to be in this type of a account. However, in my research, I found a number of accounts that do not have a minimum balance requirement, and some of these accounts do have associated fees. So you'll want to look into that as you're investigating this as an option for you to invest your money in or to save your money in. Now, with that, I do need to give you the obligatory disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I'm not your financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is simply something that I ran across and I personally do look at when I'm looking at where to store money that I may be utilizing in the short term, but I still want to garner some interest on it. So a few different types of accounts that I was able to find, or a few different money market accounts. This is from NerdWallet. NerdWallet is a pretty decent site that'll give you a lot of information. It is not the only source of information that you should use, but several institutions that it talked about with money market accounts were Zenlo Bank, which offered a 4.4% rate, VO Bank 4.3%, Sallie Mae, who, by the way, you probably recognize from student loans, at 3.85%, and Quantic Bank offering about a 4.25%. So I did a little bit more investigating on some of these, and here's some of the things that I found. And I've ranked these in order of what they're offering on their current money market accounts. CIT Bank offers a 4% platinum savings They did advertise this as a money market account. As I'm looking through this right now, it may be more of a savings account, but 4% is not bad. However, look at the fine print, $5,000 minimum balance. What you will find a lot of times is the larger banks or the more known banks, and CIT Bank is one of those larger banks, they don't offer quite as good of deals. They don't have to. They've got a lot more people coming to them. Then you start getting into the other banks that you may not have heard of. Open Bank, who, as I looked into it, is a division of Banco Santander, which is a fairly large bank outside the United States. They're offering a 4.2% APY on a high yield savings account. Now we're getting into the money market accounts, and this is the Quantic money market account at 4.25. So you can see this is already a little bit higher. It's 0.05% higher than the Open Bank, and it is definitely a quarter higher than the CIT Bank. So you can see the money market type accounts are already looking better. 4.25% here, minimum $100 opening deposit. That's not bad to get into this type of an account. However, then you can look at Everbank, which offers 4.3 instead of 4.25. It does not have a minimum. If you come over here, they do give you this cool little calculator that if you put the amount that you want to drop in your account, this is how much you would make per year based on the current interest rates. It talks about new accounts. Now, watch that, and you'd have to look at the disclosures as they give you. Is that only for new accounts? Do you continue to get that all year? It's hard to say. No monthly fees, no minimum balance, interest compounds daily, FDIC insured, $0 to open. That's not looking too bad. The little number 1 there tells us that there's something that we have to look at, and as we go down to Everbank performance, it's for new accounts only, may not apply to existing accounts, is accurate as of this date. It's a variable account. So they're starting to give you all these disclosures. These are the type of things that you'll want to look at as you're investigating this type of an account. The next one was SoFi, which offers a 4.5% APY and up to $300 with direct deposit. However, you've got to look here, and it talks about 4.5% APY in a SoFi savings with a 0.0 APY boost. So their actual interest rate is 3.8%, and then they give you a little boost for 6 months when you open a new account. So you may want to, again, investigate this type of a deal, but here was the coolest one that I found. And this is just on today's video. I am not affiliated with Zenlo Bank. I don't know anything about them, but I did like the way that they presented this. So you'd have to look into the details, but they're offering a 4.4% APY, no fees, no penalties, no minimum account balances, and unlimited transactions. So that takes out pretty much all of the excuses not to use this, and Zenlo is a division of People's Bank, who is actually a fairly sizable institution. So they're touting this as paying 7 times the national average, but then as I scroll down, I found something that I really liked, and that was, it was not on that page, it was this Zing checking. With some of the accounts that come with Zenlo Bank, they offer Zing, which is kind of it's like Acorns, if you're familiar with that, where they will round up your purchases. If you purchase on something else, and say you have a $10.50 purchase, they will take that other 50 cents and invest it in a savings account. It automatically transfers into a savings account, and that's where Acorn did their work. These guys actually say that they will match your deposit with certain qualifications. So in this particular situation, they say you have an estimated roundup on 20 purchases of 44 cents per purchase. Your monthly Zing with 100% roundup and match is $17.60 that you really don't have to do anything for. So let's see how that works. If we do 20 times 0.44, that's only $8.80. If you multiply that times 2, that's $17.60. So if you meet the minimum requirements, they actually give you $8, and your annual roundup is $211.20. That's not too shabby. That's pretty darn cool. So I definitely think that is something worth looking into if you're looking at a money market account. Now, of course, you'd probably be online only unless you happen to live in an area where People's Bank is active. So it's not an option for everyone. but it's an option for those who are looking to save some extra money and who may not care if you have a local branch of your bank. Personally, I work with one bank that I haven't had a local branch for several years. It hasn't been an issue because they have a network of ATMs I can go into, and the money gets direct deposited anyway. So I hope this has been helpful to you. If it has, please give us a like down below. If you know someone who may benefit from this type of video, do consider sharing. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, do consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for being here. We'll see you on the next one.